to just encourage you all to keep going legend. So whatever it is that you do, whether you're a doctor, whether you sing, whether you do art, whether you're a hooper, whether you play golf, like just be the best that you can be at it. And understand, like, keep going legend is a reminder because it's not an easy road. And like I tell my kids, like, everybody can't go, you know what I mean? So don't be discouraged at it, as if you continue on your journey, as you look left to right, there's not too many people with you because they weren't meant to be there, right? So just keep going legend, chase your dreams, you know what I mean? Don't be afraid to ask questions, you know what I mean? And get you a mentor or two. I have a few. You can follow me on Instagram. Yeah, for real. I got a few mentors.
You are listening to the Beyond the Scoreboard podcast, transforming athletes into leaders on and off the court with host Coach Furtado. Coaches, are you ready to take your passion for coaching and turn it into a full-time career? I know the challenges firsthand, but the Make Money Coaching Sports program helped me take BTG basketball full-time. If you're tired of juggling coaching part-time and want to fully focus on doing what you love, this business accelerator will give you the tools and support to make it happen. Hit the link in the show notes below to learn more and start living your dream. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Beyond the Scoreboard podcast. Today, I have an LA legend with us today, Coach San. She's the founder of Defend Your Legacy Basketball. She's a transformative coach, like I said, here in LA. First female athlete from Azusa High to earn a Division I scholarship and played at San Diego State. She's worked with Nike LA, served as a lead trainer for the Junior Drew League and Kobe Bryant's Mamba League, and a whole lot more. So, Coach, I really appreciate your time. Thanks for joining the show.
Oh, man, thank you. That was an awesome intro. You know what I mean? Love to hear that. Love to hear just things that I've been doing. It's crazy just to hear. So thank you for the love and opportunity.
Of course. So let's dive right in. Let's talk about, before we talk about you and sharing your love for the game with the youth, I want to talk about you as a youth and as an athlete. How did the game of basketball make an impact on your life beyond the scoreboard?
Yeah. You know what? Growing up, I actually played all sports. You know, people ask me all the time, like, did you have a trainer? Did you have this? And I'm like, I'm a 90s baby at the core. You know, I had Parks and Brothers. You know what I mean? And one mixtapes that you had to borrow and share. And even being a LA kid, a California kid, I was an Allen Iverson fan. You know what I mean? So as far as if you look at AI in his career, being a smaller type of player, his style with the braids, like kind of standoffish a little bit, but in his own world, but great in a sense. But kind of hated during his time. That's kind of how I felt when I was growing up. Like, Azusa, California, dominantly Hispanic neighborhood. You can count all the black kids on one hand. So it wasn't a lot of love first there. So basketball and sports in general was my way of, like, quote unquote, staying safe. You know what I mean? So the basketball courts is safe. Were they playing soccer? Were they playing baseball? So sports just kind of kept me out the way. And then I was pretty good at it. Growing up, you know, I didn't know what I wanted to be. I was skateboarding, I was volleyballing, I was running track. So whatever season it was, like, that's what I was doing. And then growing up, my best friend was the fastest kid in Azusa. So Janisha ran really fast. So when it was track season, we was running it up. And then when it was basketball season, you know, she kind of would play that with me. But I would say it wasn't until high school where I had to, like, make that decision, you know, like, okay, what is it that you're going to do? Shout out to my high school coaches. You know, they saw something to me. They're the ones that's like, hey, start applying for colleges. I'm like, I'm going to the league. You know what I mean? So growing up, it was like NBA dreams, you know, because WNBA wasn't something that you saw, you know, on TV, even though it was going on. But more so you watching Kobe and Allen Iverson and those types of guys. And as a young kid, I thought I was going to be as tall as them. You know what I mean? You see them on TV, you don't know how tall they are. I've never been to a NBA game in person. So once I got to high school, my coaches, Sherv and Coach Dolan, had me, like, list all these colleges I want to go to. Of course, all the top schools is on there, you know, the UConns, the Tennessees and all that. And I got an offer from San Diego State. Started playing club basketball my sophomore year. So I never traveled outside of Azusa to play anything, you know what I mean? So my coach was like, yeah, we got to get you kind of some exposure, kind of get you out there. So I started playing with more kids that look like me. You know what I mean? Quite frankly, and it was fun. So a lot of my teammates is from Long Beach Poly. So basketball, that world just opened my eyes to just the more competitive side. Um, Showed me that I can travel. I started traveling to different places, and yeah, end up getting that scholarship that you shared in the intro. So as far as how did it shape me, it just, it exposed me to things that I probably wouldn't have seen if I didn't play sports.
100%. So
Yeah.
even, kind of before diving into kind of the college career aspect of
Yeah.
things, you kind of talk about how you played a ton of different sports and you
Yeah.
really didn't end up playing like, I guess, high level exposure basketball until your sophomore year.
Mm-hmm.
And now, as we both know, we're in the training world that, you could play quote unquote high level basketball in second grade, right? And play basketball year round.
Right. Right.
So can you talk about how those experiences and playing
Yeah.
multiple sports actually ended up helping you in your
Yeah.
journey, probably to be more athletic?
Yeah. No, that's a great question. Because I actually encourage my parents and the athletes that I get to cross paths with to play more sports. Um, Baseball specifically, I think helped me with my hand-eye coordination. I was a catcher, so my ability to play low, you know what I mean? A quick reaction to the ball. It taught me patience, right? Baseball is not, or softball in my case,
Yeah,
it's not a fast-paced game. You know what I mean?
right.
Um, but a fun fact is I was very small growing up, so my strike zone was really small. So I would get
Okay.
either walked every time or struck out every time. So let me with my emotions because I would cry like every time. Going up to the plate, leaving the plate, and I can hear my mom like, it's okay, it's okay. But softball is what? A lot of cheering. Baseball is a lot of cheering. So as far as that aspect of spirit, right? You don't really get that in basketball. If you just focus on just being the best you can be, right? That team aspect. I learned that a lot from softball, the cheering, the patience, right? The I like that you get like multiple shots at it, right? And then I was able to carry that to basketball, like the next shot, you know what I mean? Your next moment, just kind of being prepared for that. Just like in baseball, like you just got to be ready. So, and then track, right? Just the conditioning side, right? It's like kids these days don't train outside, right? Like you said, a parent's calling me about an 8-year-old, but it's like, you got gym time for the 8-year-old? We're about to go. We might not even need a park. They can't even reach the rim. Let's just go to the grass area right here. Or do you have a backyard? What about your driveway? So those conversations kind of get difficult, but playing other sports, playing outside, I think that's where I get my grit, my toughness. You know what I mean? I get my gratitude, my thankfulness for like being in nice gyms or hearing your shoes squeak on the floor. Like these kids have no idea what it's like to like, you got your gym shoes and your outside shoes. They don't have outside shoes. They just in
Yep.
Crocs or they in the latest shoes that just came out yesterday. So yeah, I think that's those are some things that it taught me for sure.
No, that's really interesting that you bring that up because I had a conversation with a coach just about that
Yeah.
yesterday and talking about how they don't value, I guess, playing outside as much, especially we're in Los Angeles, right? It's
Hmm.
like year round, right? We get
Hmm.
to play outdoors year round. Like our varsity coach at Pacifica,
Yeah.
he's from Connecticut. And so he's saying after Halloween, like they didn't get to play outside,
Yeah.
right? And so it's such a luxury. And so
For
can
sure.
you kind of talk about how you talked about that grit and just like
Yeah.
being grateful for the
Yeah.
game and like the coaches and
Yeah.
we were talking about like perspective. Not everyone gets like access to
Hmm.
great coaches or
Hmm.
gyms to improve their game.
Hmm. And I think that's one of my biggest things that I kind of share with my athletes and my family is my attitude for gratitude. Like you
Mm.
said, I'm based in Los Angeles, California. So what 90% of the year is sunny. So when I have people like, oh, you got courts that have shade or you got a court that's covered, it's like we should be thankful that it's November, it's October, it's December. We can be outside because the sun is good for you. You know what I mean? So I can't lose that even about myself. You know what I mean? Um, because that attracts goodness into your life. So as far as like my attitude and just how I look at things, I was raised by my grandmothers. I like to say I have them both still in my life, and they cut from the South, so it's like we thankful for a lot of things over here. You know what I mean? Because it's not every day that, like you say, you do get to be in a gym, but we live in California, it's parks everywhere. I know they're not always the safest, but times have changed a little bit. And I will say this too though. That is a change, right? Because like back in the day when we was like growing up, I don't mind saying my age, I'm 36. Like that was normal to like go to parks and do that. I get it. Times are a little different. Like kids don't really just go to the parks and play, but you know, we can encourage them to do so. And if not, just utilize the space you have, driveway, backyard, friend's house, those types of things.
100%. And kind of just continuing on with that, I feel like some of the autonomy, right,
Mm-hmm.
that kids had, like when we used to just go to the park or go to our
Yeah,
schools and just play, or the
yeah,
backyard doesn't matter. Like that's where we kind of got to experiment with things and just play for fun. And
for
now,
sure.
obviously everyone's got a trainer, everyone's got a club
Yeah,
team. I mean, you have all the access to
yeah,
YouTube that you want. Can you talk about the actual importance and benefits of
yeah,
just going and playing without a coach or
yeah,
without anyone and just going and being a kid just for their
yeah.
development as a person?
I think that's just good for anybody, no matter the age. I think we are in an era where people are getting lost in the sauce, quote unquote, and not really true to the game. Like, so it's like people are so focused on trying to become the next person or the next whatever that they're not even present in their moment. And it's like, well, if you look around, like you actually are great at what you do. You're leading and rebounding. You know what I mean? Like you play every minute of the game. You know what I mean? Like you might not be the leading scorer, but you had 12 assists last game. So I think if we all in general could just be more present in our time and just count our own blessings in a sense, like we will see that a win is a win for everybody. You know what I mean? Um, but it's not the kid's fault either, though, that there is a lot of pressure on them at a very young age. Like you
Yep.
said, 7, 8 year olds are playing club ball. So I think it's important for our young people to just go out and play because not only will you be able to work on your skills without hearing anything, you can kind of find out if you really like it. Because if you're doing it on your own, like you'll do it when you're asked, to, to play at a certain level. So,
Right. Yeah, that pressure cooker starts really young now. It starts really young, and I like that you're talking about. Do you even like it, right? Or are you
right.
playing because you are your parent is forcing you, and there are coaches and parents that listen to this show. So as a parent, right, it's like
Yeah,
empowering them to kind of like let them guide the show and just kind
for
of
sure.
being that mentor and light. And
Yeah.
so from your coaching philosophy, like how
Yeah.
do you kind of infuse the love for the
Yeah.
game into your athletes?
That was a great question because it's like you said, I'm not going to force them. So with my athletes, whether it's a group or private, there's routine, right? So it's like first thing is like saying hello to each other. Like I have a handshake with all
Yep.
my athletes, and how you come into a room is everything because energy changes room. So and I had to learn that about myself, you know, really just in my adult life. Like now I know why my coaches used to get on me when I was younger. If I would come into practice laughing, but you came into practice laughing, but you didn't get in trouble. Well, because my energy changes room. So if I could teach people to understand that about themselves, now if we all come in shaking hands, okay, what do we do next? Oh, our dynamics, right? Okay, boom. But if this is our like third, fourth, fifth session, I'm not going to tell you that dynamics are next because we've already discussed that this is a routine. You should be doing this before all your workouts, before all your games, right? So me teaching them routine, I think helps with their confidence because anybody who is confident in knowing what's next or what's to come, they're going to approach it like they know how to do it, right? So just like you said, don't be a trainer or a parent that's trying to like, oh, you need to do this now, learn this now. It's not about having all these skills, especially at certain ages. Allow them to develop at their own pace, master one thing at a time. And I think the main thing that people need to focus on first is the mind and heart connected. You know what I mean? Like, do you really want to do this? And do you understand what it takes? And if you understand what it takes, is your heart fully in it? So that's why, like, as a coach and a trainer, I think routines are great. I'm in all my sessions. I keep track of things. You know what I mean? Like, you'll talk to a kid, right? And be like, oh, how was your workout? Like, great. I got up a bunch of shots. And I'll be like, well, how many did you shoot? Oh, I shot like 200. All right. What'd you go for 200? All right, man. You know what I'm saying? Like that small detail, right? That culture of like understanding that I went 175 for 200, but the next day I went 189 for 200. Now, you know what I'm saying, you on a different level. Now I know once you start playing basketball, you're gonna be like, okay, what does my day look like today? How am I gonna contribute not only to myself, maybe my family or the world? So, and like I said, I think just teaching them routine, passion, and understanding it starts with you. That is the passion, right? And that will kind of help them connect those habits to like life things too. So, yeah,
Exactly. That's exactly where I was going to go because the routines are everything, right?
yeah,
Especially for kids, like if
hmm
they're going and they're going to school, right? What are your
hmm
routines? What are your habits? And then what are you tracking, right? How are you tracking your progress and your
right,
learning in the classroom, right? You're learning of algebra, you're learning of, reading the Odyssey in English class or whatever it is, right?
right,
And
right.
so can you continue to build on how you teach those other life
Yeah.
skills to your
hmm
athletes as well?
For sure, for sure. Yeah. I love it. I love the building block aspect of training. Um, I love that, and I'm human, I do have times where I'm supposed to provide a safe space for my athletes, but we're human. So sometimes we might push too hard or not push
Right.
enough because we're frustrated. But that's the beauty
Right.
about, being a coach, you get another opportunity too. You know what I mean? And you're surrounded with young people or other coaches who just at the end of the day, we all just want to, get better. So yeah, it's great. I love it. I've fallen more in love with it, as I've accepted, like, that window of your own basketball window is closing. So it's like, okay, well, how am I going to stay around the game? But then, like, when you have so much passion for it, what can I do where it's like I won't feel like I'm not doing enough in the space?
100%. And
Yeah.
you kind of talked about it. It's the journey of it, right? I'm sure
hmm
both of us are better coaches than we were last year, right?
For
Because
sure.
it's we're always trying to evolve.
Right.
And so, for if you were going to go back in time and
Yeah.
give some, thoughts, words of wisdom to
Yeah.
your first year self as a coach, like
hmm
after you finish your playing career, what advice would that be?
Man, I would tell myself to record. Just
Okay.
record. Don't
Yeah.
don't worry about what it looks like. Don't worry if it's before it's time, because you're a special person. And just record yourself doing what you do because it is gonna inspire people one day. Um, and yeah, it's very useful. You know what I mean? So I probably would tell myself to record because I remember Sway Williams, who is now one of the top photographers out here in LA. When I was working at the Boys and Girls Club, he was just one of my members at the club. And he'd be like,
Yeah.
let me take pictures of you. I'm like, boy, just focus. We're supposed to be doing drills and stuff. But like
Right.
now look at the time that we live in. You know what I mean? So yeah. And I could be repurposing all that stuff. And now a decade later in the game, that's great to say, but yeah, I ain't moving like that no more. I ain't moving like I'm fresh out of
Right.
college, so
Right.
yeah, just record, create your content, build your brand. And it's okay.
Yeah, document that journey. So yeah,
Document.
let's go right there and let's
Yeah.
talk about how you are so involved with
hmm
the city of Los Angeles basketball scene.
Yeah.
How has that grown? How did those relationships come about? Let's
hmm
let's dive into that journey.
Yeah. Sherry, who actually connected you and I, she
Yes.
was friends with Cy, and the Drew League, which is, a well-known league out here in LA.
Right.
They have something called the Junior Drew League, which would be a clinic for kids before the men's Drew start on Sundays in the morning. So on the roof at King Drew, there's basketball courts, and we would just hold clinics for the kids up there. So 2014, that's when this whole era of like girls in sports, women in sports, that's when that kind of started years ago. You know what I mean? And that's when Sherry gave me a call like, hey, they're looking for female trainers. You know what I mean? That's when that term
Right.
started becoming a thing. And it's like, she was like, yeah, so meet me. You know what I mean? I put your name in the hat. And that was my first Nike gig. Of course, me and Sherry knocked it out, had the time of our life. You know what I mean? And that was the time where we was working for sneakers and shorts and t-shirts. You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's fine. You know what I mean? And yeah, a decade later, within from then to now, got asked to do Kobe's Mamba League. You know what I mean? Did that. Still was doing the Junior Drew stuff. Um, my friend at the time, Kristen Roach, was working with the Sparks. She kicked up this program. I think that was around 2018. The Junior Sparks program. I started being the director for that program, training those girls. And it was one year we went from like 300 participants to over 1,000 girls just in a year, just increasing those numbers. And yeah, years later, I still do the Junior Sparks. The Drew League is now converted to Adidas, but I'm still connected, just like you said, in the community in general. So I'm thankful for anything that's youth and basketball, that if I'm not connected to it, people are consulting, asking questions, and yeah, it's just cool. You know what I mean? I never imagined that, I would be doing these things, but that's how I approach each thing, right? Like I approach it as if it was a game that, I never knew if I was gonna get another opportunity to coach or play again. So my mindset as a player I kind of took that into my coaching. And that's why I feel like, my mentor told me, he says, to work so you can't be replaced. So even anybody can coach. You can get any coach, but damn,
Right.
I wish Sam was here. So that's kind
Yep.
of how I like. That's kind of how I like to
Yep.
try to move around.
I like that. And correct me if I'm wrong, but kind of
Yeah,
what I hear is like just being so present with
yeah,
the group you're working with, or
mm-hmm,
like your coach over at St. Mary's, right?
mm-hmm.
Or the clinic, doesn't matter. Those kids that you're working with at that time, they're going to get your best energy. And,
Always.
and when you show up and you do that consistently over time,
Mm-hmm,
that's how you obviously build those connections,
mm-hmm,
rapport, and then you're really making an impact on kids.
mm-hmm.
And then if you're doing a great job, then more people are going to want you to speak and
Exactly.
connect with bigger groups. So
Yeah,
that's kind of what it sounds like.
yeah, and it's been amazing because I ain't gonna hold you. A lot of my jobs or opportunities that I got have been from people who weren't actually in the space. Like, oh my God, I was working the concession stands and like I got in the stands. I'm like, oh shoot, you know what I'm saying? Like, and then it's like, okay, I started working with Derek Fisher, you know what I mean? Because I was working with um, one of my friends, his daughter's training her. He knew Derek. He was like, boom, boom, boom. And it was just like, yo, you need to be here or you need to be connected with this. So then that's how that internship happened. Even working with the campaign that I'm currently on with It's Her Shot. My name got thrown in that hat because a gentleman who was working with Nike when I was doing the Junior Drew League stuff knew my ability and like kind of was like, hey, this is coming up. I'm throwing your name in the hat. You will be great for it. So, shout out to Gian. He's one of those people who was like, no, you need to be doing this. And I'm like, I've never spoke to this many people before. He's like, just be yourself. So to be in a space where I'm empowered to play my role, which is just to be the best that I can be, is really what I teach my kids to do. Because if you authentically be yourself, then like no one can replace you or take your place, and then there's only the jobs that come are specifically for you. So yeah.
No, that's huge. And then you're
Mm-hmm.
role modeling to the kids, right? How to, kind of be yourself and
Yeah.
express yourself, and helping them on their own journeys to becoming young, productive citizens, whether that's
Mm-hmm.
playing college basketball or just going to school or going and
Mm-hmm.
getting a job. And that's what it's all about, is just going and impacting those youth. So can you
Yeah.
talk about how, you know, what it means to you to build and develop those relationships and
Yeah.
watch your athletes grow over time?
Yeah. What it means to me is just extended family. Like my family's, we're pretty big. But every kid that I get to coach, extends my family. For instance, like I said, like with Derek, me knowing him, that's because Duran, I got to coach one of his daughters. Then I got to coach his youngest daughter. Because of those relationships, I got to be in the WNBA space. Now I have extended family there. Coaching on tour with It's Her Shot campaign. Honestly, I look at that as like my shot as well, right? To one, change the narrative of like we're the female trainers and coaches and mentors because we all are here because we all have moms and aunties and grandmothers, right? Um, but then it allows me to make connections with other like-minded women around the world. So those coaches then become my sisters, right? So now I can call someone in Minnesota, Indiana, Connecticut, places that I've never been, but I have family there now because of this game of basketball. Um, Kids that I coached when I first started coaching at Challengers, which was a decade ago, those kids now have kids, right? So now I get pictures, like baby pictures, like, Coach San, I told you I'm getting my kid ready for you, right? But that's because I was genuinely coaching those kids, like you said. But I'm not knowing that they're going to go through their life already
Right.
telling their kids who their coach is going to be. Like,
Right. Right. Right.
so like to already have quote unquote more opportunities or things manifesting for me in rooms that I'm not in. That's how I know I genuinely am moving in the right way. And I love my job, and I love to be around a game of basketball still. So shout out to anybody who's a part of my extended family, my Nike family, even my Stewie family. You know what I mean? My Puma, everybody, brands. All that stuff is great, but at the root of it, all of this is bigger than us, and basketball is what is the connection. So it's awesome.
It is. We get that opportunity to just be a servant for the game, and right,
Yeah.
be able to connect with kids, connect with people, and
Yeah.
just obviously promote the game. But
Yeah.
it's obviously so much bigger than that. And I kind of want to shift. You
Yeah.
alluded to it a little bit. You're working with It's Her Shot. You
Mm-hmm.
talked about kind of female trainers and changing the narrative. I'd love for
Mm-hmm.
you to kind of elaborate on
Yeah.
the narrative that you want to continue to change on and continue to expand the women's basketball
Yeah.
game.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, It's Her Shot is a amazing campaign. Dick's Sporting Goods and Nike have come together to provide a space for girls to kind of like take over the courts. So our major stops, LA, Chicago, and New York. This year, our goal was to hit every state that has a team that we haven't visited yet. So we went to Connecticut, um, we went to Indiana, and then we always follow WNBA All Star Weekend. So we were in Phoenix. And what's great about this event and why I love it is it's really about fun. It's really about where do you want to go, right? We kind of get the parents and guardians to like shut their voices off. When the girls come into the space, they get their little reversible jersey. Shout out to Sabrina and Nike. All the girls were laced with the proper kicks, proper sports bras, right? Because a lot of our young girls are starting their cycles earlier. So girls are quitting earlier because they don't have the proper equipment. So they don't feel comfortable to even try sports or play sports, right? So understanding that, is important because we want our girls to try. And we know that when you try something, you're going to fail the first time, right? So we have a hair braiding station. We call it game day hair, right? Where the girls can come and get their hair done. Because even for you as a young man, like if you got a fresh cut, you're gonna feel a
Yeah, you
different
feel
way.
good. Yep,
So we
you
want
feel
them to
good.
feel good. We want them to be confident, right? We have photo booths, we feed the girls halfway through the day. We have WBA stars and legends come out. And yeah, man, it's an amazing time. So I think the event is great for the girls. They all leave smiling and feeling empowered. We give the girls 3 E's. We talk to them about the energy that they bring, the effort that they give, and the enthusiasm that they show. So shout out to Coach D. I know we've been kind of like working with all the coaches at every stop and really tapping into the mental side of the game. And I think that's what makes It's Her Shot so special is like all the little details that girls need and women need to connect first before we compete is important, and having the proper equipment and space, safe space to do so, right, is important as well. So shout out to It's Her Shot, man. I'm super blessed to be a part of that campaign. And I definitely take advantage of it in all the right ways, whether I'm inviting everybody that I can, and like you said, changing the narrative about where are the female coaches, because we are here, and yeah, we ready to stay at work, I should say.
Yeah, and grow the amount of female coaches that exist as well, and continue
Yes.
growing the game. So,
Yes.
as for me, who I'm a man, and I would love to continue to promoting the women's game though.
Thank you.
And one of the things that I recognize is like this is my first year. I ran a little women's or girls club team, and now I
Okay.
have like some girls only training, and it's starting small.
Okay.
What are some opportunities for
Yeah.
organizations like mine to
Yeah.
continue supporting and growing out girls basketball?
Yeah. Wow. Thank you. I think first, just this, taking the time to just get people to share. You know what I mean? So first off, thank you for 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 just the opportunity, because there is a glass ceiling, right? We need more men on the other side to just kind of continue to help us shatter the glass so the opportunities can go and the opportunities can be shared to those who really need it. So I think like I said, this podcast is great. I can't wait to share it with my circle. I know Sherry's, organization specifically for a movement focuses on, girls and their brand in sports. I'm at St. Mary's Academy, so any support that you could give St. Mary's Academy, we're all girls, school. So yeah, we are looking to continue to grow that program, in all aspects, athletically and academically. Um, I will share with you. I don't know the name of it's this group chat where um, her name is Coach May. She has started compiling all these individuals into this chat, and it kind of says like when the open gyms are, when the open runs, when the games are. But with that being said, though, there is still an issue with women having a regular space to play. Gym time is really hard to get. And 9 times out of 10, if I'm hosting the gym time, unfortunately, sometimes I charge the women at least a couple bucks just to help me, pay for the cost of the gym. But I do believe like women in LA, everywhere, deserves at least, a space where they can go hoop. So if you have any resources where you can provide some consistent gym time, for us women to kind of play. Because when people do give it to us, it's either really early in the middle of the day or late at night. And, no need to remind people, a lot of these women are mothers and they take care of kids. So, reasonable days, reasonable times, will be awesome, even reasonable prices. And right now, T-Rail Pro-Am is going on right here in LA. So you can always come check out those women hoop every Sunday. Coach Sherry plays on my team as well, Team Redemption. So yeah, and then we connected, man. So I definitely will share anything that I have going on, with you. And if you can share it out in your circles, that would be awesome.
Absolutely. And so also for the listeners that are
Yeah.
listening, like how else, like for the coaches that are
Yeah.
also wanting to continue to promote the game, and even some of the parents,
Yeah.
all that.
Yeah.
Just in general, like beyond LA, and just
Yeah.
to grow the game.
Yeah. I kind of said it earlier, just record, share, you know what I mean?
Yep.
Kind of like what I touched on earlier, like it's enough opportunities for us all. So let's continue to unite, share, support one another, like, comment, all those great things. And follow me on Instagram at DYLBball. I stay sharing about events that are not in California. If it's something that is positive for the community, if it's an opportunity for a young girl or a young woman or even our young men out there to enjoy the game of basketball, I will share it. Every Wednesday, Air West, right here in LA, is a free workout for kids 6 to 13. So you can check that out as well. Yeah, those are some of the things that I'm kind of tapped into, and I think is a good way to kind of push the game forward.
I love it. No, and I appreciate that. And it's all about, one of the things that I recognize, and it can be easy to be like very competitive and territorial as a trainer / coach, right? Like, oh, these are my kids. Like, I want to train these kids, but I'm like kind of recognizing like, well, why are we in coaching, right? Why are we in coaching? To make a difference on these kids and help them get better at basketball, help them become better people, right? And so you yourself, like, I can't do it all myself. Coach Stan can't do it all herself. Coach Sherry can't do it all herself. We have to do it together, right? We have to work together with like-minded people that really want to make an impact. So the more we can kind of support each other and promote each other, right? Even if you're listening to this podcast here in Michigan, it doesn't matter, right? We want to promote, we want to support however we can, build that community.
Because it takes a village, right? So how we raise our kids, off the court, I think we should be more intentional with that on the court. And I totally dislike the whole "this is my kid" thing. Like, I'm the trainer that encourages other kids and parents. One, sometimes I tell them to save their money, because if I gave little Johnny this workout to do and he didn't do it, don't come back to me, because little Johnny, go check in with little Johnny. Remember that heart to mind thing? I don't got no magic wand. So I think just getting people back to that, will help get back to that village aspect, accountability aspect. But that happens when you have a village, right? Like, other people support it, and now you all are growing this superstar. You know what I mean? Together. So, yeah, man.
Yeah, and that's a conversation I had with another coach yesterday as well. Is like, it could be easy for us as trainers if you work with someone for a while, it'd be like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I made that kid, right? But in reality, that kid's working in the dark without you a lot of times,
Without
and
you.
that's what we want as trainers. We want to inspire them. They're not only going to get better with us if they
Mm-hmm.
train with us from 1 to 3 times a week.
Nah,
They're going to go
not
do
that.
their weights, their film. They're going to
Mm-hmm.
do everything. We want to inspire them to do it
Mm-hmm.
themselves, and then we
Mm-hmm.
want to be guiding lights. We're a part of their journey, but we
Yeah.
didn't make them.
Yeah, I like how you said that we're a part of their journey because we should be encouraging them to sleep, recover, right? And that
Yep.
doesn't take a trainer. We should be encouraging them to manifest their dreams, write down their goals, and that doesn't take a trainer. So, um, I love how and thank you for saying like transformative coach, because defend your legacy started as a reminder to myself. Because after basketball, I'm like, yo, what am I gonna do? Like, what am I good at? And I just kept telling myself, just defend your legacy. Like your mom proud of you, your dad proud, you graduated, you got a little job at the Boys and Girls Club. Like just keep going,
Yeah.
And then it was like kids start calling me Coach San. And now I'm like working with the kids and I'm training, no sense of time management, money. And it's
Right.
just like now I'm telling the kids, like, yo, why you acting up over there? Like, defend your legacy. Like, we represent each other. Now it's like you said, now we're here and now they don't want to disappoint us. Now we building good people, So yeah, that's
I
that's
love
that's
that.
kind of like the vibe. Yeah, the vibe that I be
No,
trying to be on.
that's huge. And actually, before we I have my last question
Yeah,
for you, just as a connection point, I started my basketball coaching career at a Boys and Girls Club. I was in a coaching class at University of Oregon.
yeah,
He's not a professor, but
yeah.
my teacher taught me how to run a class and like try and do group management and stuff. So that's where I started my journey
See,
as well. So it's pretty amazing.
shout out
And
to
I had no idea that coaching basketball could be my profession. Like that
me
was not
either.
my intention. I
Me
just
neither.
wanted to like that was like I thought it was going to be my hobby, or like
Something.
something I do,
Yeah.
but it's pretty amazing what the game can do, especially
Mm-hmm.
being in here in LA. There's a lot of opportunities.
No, for sure. Agree. Agree.
So for my last like piece for
Yeah.
the listeners, you've kind of talked about documenting, recording the journey, and
Mm-hmm.
you've shared a lot of wisdom that I really appreciate. I got a full page of notes here.
Thank
What will your last like final pieces of inspiration be for those that are listening? And
Yeah.
then reiterate any other ways. I know you shared your Instagram, but any other
Yeah.
ways people can connect, contact, support
Yeah.
everything you got going on.
Okay. Well, yeah, my last bit of advice, a little bit of knowledge I want to leave with everybody is a call to action. It's to just encourage you all to keep going legend. So whatever it is that you do, whether you're a doctor, whether you sing, whether you do art, whether you're a hooper, whether you play golf, like just be the best that you can be at it. And understand, like, keep going legend is a reminder because it's not an easy road. And like I tell my kids, like everybody can't go. You know what I mean? So don't be discouraged at it, as if you continue on your journey. As you look left to right, there's not too many people with you because they weren't meant to be there, right? So just keep going, legend. Chase your dreams. You know what I mean? Don't be afraid to ask questions. You know what I mean? And get you a mentor or two. I have a few. You can follow me
It
on
helps a lot.
Instagram. Yeah, for real. I got a few mentors. You can follow me on Instagram at DYLBBall. TikTok, same thing at DYLBBall. And if you would like to join my email listing, maybe they can share the emails with you. I'm not sure. DM them to me or
Yep.
something,
Yep.
because I do want to start tapping in with my audiences just each week, just giving them more insight on like what I have coming up next and just keeping you on the know. So, yeah.
Yeah, we'll include your Instagram
Yeah.
and newsletter link, however to subscribe
Okay.
in the show notes. We'll talk about that after, but I really appreciate your time, Coach. This
Yeah.
was amazing. It's always great to connect with like-minded coaches and just share the wisdom with other listeners. So I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Beyond the Scoreboard podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure that you subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and share it with a friend, coach, or parent you feel like would get value from this episode. It's our responsibility to impact as many parents and coaches who are the ones that are impacting our athletes. That's how we create a ripple effect. So thank you for being a part of our community, and we look forward to serving you all next week.